Hi, I'm John. This is my show, An American Scheme, where I am proving that Diana Ross is Michael Jackson's actual mother. So what I want to show you here is about cards. This is like baseball cards. You know, all cards, even if they're music cards or if they're cards of presidents and stuff, they're all actually kind of called baseball cards. You can call them baseball cards because that's kind of what they're known for. But this would be like non-sports cards, you know, or collectible cards, trading cards. There's just so many different names of what you can put on them and stuff, right? But they're like baseball cards, whatever, and stuff, right? But so in the market of card collecting, these cards have become, first of all, one of the things is they're rare. They've become rare and they've become very desirable, which has created a great deal of value for them and stuff. So one of the things that's happened more recently and stuff is that the cards are now being graded. Okay, so when a card gets graded, one of the things it does is it authenticates the card. It authenticates that it's a real card, right? It's not some fraud card that somebody just made in their garage and stuff, right? And they're trying to scam you. It actually has to be the real card. It has to be the actual one that was printed from the company. It has to be authentic, right? So one of the things about the grading companies is when you get the card in the slab, okay, the card has been authenticated as a genuine card. So that's one of the reasons why you like a card in a graded slab, because you know the card's real. It's real. It's been graded, so it's been real. It's real, but then it's also been, it puts the classification of what kind of quality the card is and stuff, right? So that's what I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you some of these cards, and I'm going to teach you, give you some basic lessons about card collecting, and to show you that there's Michael Jackson cards out there, and I'm going to give you a basic. This is going to be a real simple version about card collecting and stuff, right? I'm going to give you just a quick lesson about that stuff, right? So first of all, on this card here, now you see the slab, that's a standard slab. Okay, that's the standard slab for what a baseball card would be. So it's not very large, a little bit bigger than basic your hand size, you know. It's not a very big slab and stuff. But you can see that the card doesn't completely take up that space there that it has in the slab. So it means that that card's a little bit smaller, right? Because they have different size cards and stuff, right? So you can tell by the size of the card in the slab, since that's a standard slab. And I'm going to show you on another one where there's different sizes to the slabs. And I'm going to show you a way to identify that, because you've got to be really careful about getting slabs that are bigger, because what you want is this size of a slab. This standard slab is really important because that's the one that everybody wants. Once you get that slab, it's a little bit bigger. It doesn't fit in the cases. It doesn't display as well. And so it causes a little bit of a problem. They're still collectible and they're still used, but it's one of the issues, the things that I don't really like. I don't like the bigger slabs as much. You know, I'd much rather have it in the standard slab size. It's actually really important. The simple little things like that can generate differences in thousands of dollars. Like literally, it really can be that way and stuff, right? So let me just show you a little bit of stuff that I've learned about Michael Jackson's card market, because I just recently have been purchasing Michael Jackson cards. So I've learned a lot about what are the cards that are out there, you know, because I know the card market and the sports card market, but I didn't know about Michael Jackson's card market, but I've been purchasing his cards recently, and so I've been learning, and so I'm going to give you just a little lesson about collecting cards and Michael Jackson's card market and stuff. So this card right here, okay, I see Michael Jackson. Okay, so we go up to here, like I said, it's been graded, so it's going to be identified. So what it says there is, it says 1969 Victoria. Let me see if I can get a little bit better. Let me see it there. Okay, so it says 1969 Victoria. Okay, so that card was issued in 1969. Okay, so that would be what you would consider like a Michael Jackson rookie card. Okay, so if anybody, like in sports, it's all about the rookie card. Okay, that first card that was printed by the card company, that's the one that's the desirable one. Now there are other cards that become collectible for other reasons and stuff. But basically, the card collecting market revolves around rookie cards, okay? That's really what it really revolves around. Now, when you get into music cards and stuff like that, it's not exactly the same thing, because all of those cards are cool. I like all of the cards and stuff. In sports world, it's really rookie cards. I mean, it's the number one thing about what card collecting and stuff. When you get into the old vintage cards, then you want all of those cards. I mean, like I said, there is differences and stuff. You'd have to get into it and understand. Like I said, I have to explain all kinds of stuff to explain to you. And then it's like I said, there aren't rules. There's rules, but there's not rules and stuff, right? And then so the actual rules about collecting cards is collect what you like, right? That'd be like the number one rule. Collect what you like. If you like it, you know, then you get it for you what you like. Don't, all these other reasons. The number one rule, get what you like. Because if you can't sell the card, like a lot of the cards like in the modern market, like sports card market, you're gambling on these players, right? And so that's what you tell people. Well, buy players you like, collect what you like, because if that player gets hurt tomorrow, then the value of that card's going to be worthless, right? If the player gets hurt, a lot of these players have not made these great accomplishments yet, and you're gambling that they will become these great Hall of Fame players and stuff, and then your cards become extremely valuable, right? So you're gambling. That's why you got to get them now, because they're cheap, right? But the gamble is, well, if he gets hurt next week, then the card value goes to shit because he never did anything great, you know? So then there is no collector's market for that card, so the card becomes basically worthless and shit, right? So that's a difference on like modern cards, or you'd get to like this. 69, I think, would classify. I think they, when the people like in the sports card market, I think when they call it vintage cards, I think it's like pre-70s. Is they have different things. They have like pre-70s, and then they have like pre-World War II like era. They have it's all that stuff. Like I said, there's so much to know. The more knowledge you have, the better you will be at purchasing stuff, the better deals you're going to get, the better you're going to be able to spot the opportunities. It's knowledge. Knowledge is key in the card market world. It's not just knowing the person. You've got to know the card market. You've got to know which cards. You've got to understand why they're valuable. Like, there's a lot involved in it and stuff, right? So I'm just going to give you this basic, simple starters crash course in card collecting and stuff, right? But so this slab right here, where it says here PSA. Okay, see that says that little PSA logo there? Okay, so PSA is they're the big monster company. Like, because there's a lot of other companies out there that do grading of cards and stuff, right? And PSA, I don't think they haven't been around the longest, because there's like the Beckett. That's a big one too that's been around for a while. I'm not sure which one came out first and started doing this stuff actually, but the one that's the big one now, and it's by far the big one, it's not even close, okay? So, is this company PSA. So, not only do they grade more cards than anybody else, if you have your card in a PSA slab, it's generally going to generate more of a value than if your card is just in a different slab by a different company. Okay, but that's not always consistent. Like I said, there's variables. You've got to learn this stuff between the values of the slab, because the card has a value, the slab has a value, right? So there's all this stuff you got to learn. Like I said, I'm just giving you a beginning crash course, just a simple thing right here. So, like it says on there, it says 1969 Victoria. Okay. So like I said, this card, with it being 1969, this would be the card I would consider to be Michael Jackson's rookie card. Okay, so this would be Michael Jackson's rookie card, so these cards are valuable. This card right now is actually going in auction in eBay, and it's up. Right now the bid is, I think it goes off tomorrow, but right now the bid on this right now is sitting at like $400. You know, like I said, these are not cheap cards and stuff, right? Right now the bid's already up to $400, and it's still got till tomorrow. It'll probably go off at $500 to $600, something like that. You know, it'll probably go in that range and stuff. But like I said, this is one of Michael Jackson's collectible cards, and even though his card market is not, it doesn't have a huge like amount of collectors in there, there still are cards that they get value, and like stuff like this is even hard for me to pick up because there is other collectors out there that are buying this stuff. And the stuff like this, that's the good stuff, was one of the things that happened is that the people that are the card collectors, that are sports card collectors, they understand that there's value in the non-sports cards. It's the non-sport card market. And usually when you get quality cards like this, these cards usually are going to be bought not by Michael Jackson fans. These cards are going to be bought by sports card collectors who just collect cards in general, and they understand that this card has value. Right? So that's usually the people that actually, like I said, I'm in the market, I know what's going on. So when I see who buys stuff like this, usually from what I would see is that this card right here, this card's being purchased by a card collector, not a Michael Jackson fan. This card's being purchased by a card collector who will then later flip it. It's a flipper. It's somebody that this card is probably not going to be bought by a collector. This card is probably going to be purchased by a flipper in the card business who understands the card market. And what he will do later then is he'll flip it to a Michael Jackson fan. He will then in turn raise the price, and he'll put it up for make it available, and he'll wait till that one Michael Jackson fan comes around and he'll sell it to him and stuff, right? And then, because especially when you say to somebody, oh, that's Michael Jackson's rookie card right there, when you're like a sports card person, and like even if you're a sports card person, you might come in, you might just be, oh, I didn't know Michael Jackson had cards, and then the dealer tells you that's Michael's rookie right there. And then so if you're a sports card person and then you're a Michael Jackson fan and you see the Michael Jackson card and then the guy says, hey, that's a Michael Jackson rookie, and he's got a price, let's say he's got a price of like $1,000. Okay, well, you wouldn't know that he bought it at auction for like $500, right? You won't know that he just got it last week at auction for $500, but he's got it marked at $1,000, and then the person will come in and they'll say, I'll give you $800, and then the dealer will say, I'll take $9, because they want to meet in the middle. He'll say, I'll take $9, and then they shake their hands and everybody feels good. The guy feels like he got a good deal, like it was $1,000, he talked him down to $900, but the guy actually just bought it for $500 a week ago and flipped it real quick for $900. He made good profit and stuff, right? That's how this business works and stuff, right? So like, in order to do well as being an investor, you've got to understand how all of this stuff works. That's how this market, you got to know what these people are doing. What are the values? How does it work? And all this stuff. And who are the people you're dealing with and stuff? Because like I said, if you're going to buy a card, if it's a collector you're buying the card from, he's going to charge you more, and he's not going to want to let it go. So he's going to charge you a higher price. So, but if it's a flipper, the flipper is just looking at the value of the profit. He's just looking at his profit. Usually those people are easier to make good deals with, those flippers, because they don't got too much personal interest in the card. They're just looking to make a profit and shit, right? So like I said, you got to learn all this stuff. There's so much to learn about cards when you want to learn about cards. And so it's like, it's the whole business of the cards. So like I said, this PSA, so this is what they do on the slab. It tells you what the card is. Like I said, first of all, since it's in the slab, the card has been verified as being authentic. Okay, so they've authenticated the card for you, so you're not getting a fake card. Because what happens, there's a lot of fake trash stuff out there. People fake the stuff, and then so if you went and you just bought the card, if it wasn't in the case, the card might look real, right? And you go and you would go to a thing and somebody sells it to you for like $300, and you're thinking, okay, I got a good deal. I got it for $300. I'll ship it off to the grading company myself. They'll charge me, let's say they paid you had to pay $50, right, for the grading fee to get it in that slab. Then you're only into it for $350, and then now once it's in the slab, the card is actually worth more like $900. So that's how you make money in this business. You buy raw. They call it, you buy raw to grade, right? That's what you do. You flip, and then that increases the value. But you have to know what you're doing. And then the key thing about that is that you've got to buy an authentic card, because if the card's fake, you're out. Unless you know that dealer and you can go back and get your money back, most likely it's going to be a thing that it's done deal. And once you ship it to the company, they send it back to you, and they'll say that card's fake. It's not real. Or they could say it was trimmed. They could say the card's been altered. They'll say it is an authentic card because the card could have a distinction. They'll just put an A on there, and the A just means the card's authentic, right? But the authentic, and then it could be that the card's been trimmed, because what they want to do is the corners. See, like I'm going to show you over here. See how it says here, good 2, okay? That's the grade, the card, and then where you want to get like a mint, Gem Mint 10. That's the thing, Gem Mint. Like, you know, they talk about like cards or like coins coming from the factory. What the hell is that goddamn thing called? Where the coins come from? The mint. That's where they come from, the mint. That's what's called Gem Mint, right? They're Gem Mint coins right from the mint, and they're perfect condition, right? So that's what you want on cards. It's the same thing. You want a card like they would call it fresh out the pack, right? Right out of the pack, and nobody ever messed with it, and the corners are perfectly sharp. And then there's a thing called centering. The card has to be centered perfectly in there. So you have to have the centering, which even though the card comes fresh out the pack, doesn't mean the centering is going to be good. Usually the corners will be good. And then there's like the surface. You want the surface not to have scratches on it. Like I said, even these cards that come right out the pack, this is why this market, the value, and this is why they have to grade the cards, because even if you get a card right out of the pack, that does not mean it's a Gem Mint card. It's not like a coin that comes out of the mint. Those things, I think those things all come out basically perfect, right? These cards, they come out all beat up. They cut them wrong at the factory. The machines put little dimples on there. They scratch the cards. And then in the packaging, the card might get banged around and it dings up the corner. It got stepped on. It got wrinkled. I mean, there's just all kinds of things that go and damage these cards, right? And so like I said, what you want is the 10. Like this card right here, okay, this card in a good 2. Like I said, this card will probably sell for like $500 to $600, okay? If you had this card in a 10, okay, that would be super rare. Okay, first of all, there's not going to be any cards even close to a 10 in this card because people were not collecting this card in that kind of fashion. They weren't taking care of it in the same way as they do now, right? So that's what happens is a lot of these older cards, these vintage cards, they're like beat up a little bit, right? Which I think it gives it a little bit of charisma and character and stuff, right? So you kind of like it and stuff. That's kind of the way you expect it to be. You almost don't, if you've seen it in perfect condition, you almost kind of be like, that's fake. They cut that thing. They trimmed it. That's what everybody thinks and stuff, right? About when you actually do see these older cards and they're in perfect condition, you kind of don't believe it. You kind of be like, that's fake. Oh, I bet they trimmed it. They're all trying to pull a scam. This is a scam. You kind of don't believe it almost, right? So you kind of want the card to show some wear and tear and show that it's been beat up and show its age. And then that kind of like almost authenticates it for you too. It's a kind of weird way, right? So this card, like I said, in the 2 is going to go for $500 to $600. This card in a 10, even at this state where we're at, where the card, like I said, Michael Jackson hasn't actually been identified yet as being the son of Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson. When that happens, that's going to drastically increase the collectors that are in this market collecting the cards. And then when you have a limited amount of cards that are available, but you drastically increase the collectible market, that then raises the price of these cards like crazy. Then the cards become so collectible and so valuable, then they're actually like considered an asset class, like a house or, you know, a car or whatever. They're actually like banks would actually look at that and be like, that card is worth $500,000. You know, it's documented. It's in a slab. It's like people that actually know what they're talking about would tell you, no, that card's like gold. It's worth $500,000. They'll tell you, no, it's worth. You could get serious investors who would throw that kind of money at that card because now it's attained the title of being an asset class, a serious asset class, right? So, like I said, if you had this card right now in a 10, it'd probably be worth $50,000, right? But after my story breaks, I would think that this card, if you had this card in a 10, I would think you would probably be looking at probably like $500,000 to $1 million is what this card would sell for. Right? Because the collector's market would instantly increase crazy and there'd only be a few of them available. These cards right now you can get these cards, right? But once it goes crazy and you have a huge influx of investors and collectors coming into this market, what you'd see about these kind of cards is they'll dry up really freaking quick, really fast. And what happens is when they dry up really fast, you get even the 2s. The 2s are gone. You can't even get a 2. You won't even be able to see a 2. This is how hard it becomes. You can't even find a 2. That's how hard it is, and that's what drives up the price then. Then the prices of these things skyrocket because they're not available. And the only people that are holding them are the serious collectors, and they're holding on to them like it's an asset, a serious asset that has real value, and they just don't let it go at that point. The cards don't come up they don't come up. You can't buy them. So they become very, very valuable and stuff, right? So that's what I'm saying, like in a 2, so that then this card in a 2, at that point where if you had the 10 that was selling for like $1 million, this card in a 2 would probably sell for like $50,000. Okay, so this card could easily go, like once my story breaks, this card you could buy it tomorrow for maybe like $500 at the auction, right? My story breaks, things start going crazy. This card within a year could easily be worth $50,000. This is what I'm showing you about what's going on in the card market and the opportunity that's available for anybody right now to invest in. And I don't mind giving out this information because it's like, well, you know, if you're a Michael Jackson fan, if you're on my page, you know, and you understand the other thing, it's like, well, if you want to generate that kind of profit for your card, that kind of value, you're going to have to help expose my story about Michael being the actual son of Diana Ross and Smokey Robinson, because that's what's going to generate the true value of these cards to explode. We're making it go just crazy. They will be so valuable once that occurs and stuff, right? But so, let me show you something. Let me show you the back. This one is a little bit cleaner. I'm going to show you the back. Now, see these Victoria cards, and what you're going to find a lot on these older cards is that they were glued in a book. They had these books for like the card collectors. Like, okay, you guys might not be able to spot it as good as I can, but usually there's bigger chunks on these Victoria ones. There's usually a big glue chunk on the back of the card. This is what you'll find. It's funny, right? But see, then the card it'd be more like a 1 or a 1.5, you know, that goes down. But this one, you can see the marks. Like when I zoom in, you can't see it. But if you see right there where it says chocolate, And you can see that there's something on there. It looks a little bit dirty and stuff, right? That was a little bit of glue. So whoever glued this one in the book, they just used just a little bit of glue. So that when they peeled this card out of whatever book it was in, because that's what happens. All these cards were stuck. That's why they only come in condition 2, because the people who got these cards, they all glued them into the book. So all the cards got glued into a book. That's why you can't find a 10. That's why if there was a 10 that was out there, that's why I'm saying the potential of that card being worth $1 million, that's real. I'm not joking. If you can find one of these cards, perfect condition, sharp corners, no glue on the back, because what happens a lot too is once they peel them off, it tears the paper on the back of the card. That's another thing that happens to a lot of these cards. You'll see a big torn off piece of paper because they ripped the glue off and stuff. But you can see right there on the top where it's miscolored again. That's where the glue is at. That's what you'll find, and that also authenticates the card. Usually when you look at this card, you want the glue on the back because that tells you that it's a real card, that it came from the era from where it was produced. It was glued into a collectible book that they were collecting cards. That's what they did back in the day. They had these collector books, and the people would just glue the damn card, or they'd have these sticker cards and you'd peel the card. But once you peeled the card off and the sticker and you stuck it, then that thing's like worthless now. Okay, it's not. So that's why when you get these cards, these older ones, the stickers that haven't been used, then those ones are the valuable ones. Okay, that's how. And the reason why they're valuable is because the other ones got stuck. Like the stickers, they got used. They're not out there anymore. So the ones that are still out there are rare. They're very limited. And that's what I'm saying is that when this market, when my story breaks and you get all these collectors, that you get the Michael Jackson fans, plus you get card collectors, because the cards will then become a serious asset class, and people out there collect cards as assets. They collect them. So when you get the Michael Jackson collector market, plus once you get the card market collectors, people who just collect valuable assets, then that generates a great deal of value for these cards because they become super desirable and they're in super limited amounts. They're very, very rare and stuff, right? So like that's what I was showing you. That's the Michael Jackson rookie card. And I was showing you the slab, giving you an idea of what's going on with the slab, right? Showing you that what a rookie card should look like with the glue on the back, right? And that's how they looked back in the day and stuff, right? So now we're going to move on to this other card. Okay, so now this is 1985 Panini. Okay, now Panini is they're an Italian-based company. They're huge though. Like right now, Panini's the big one. Okay, like the company out there right now, Fanatics. There's the big company called Fanatics. Now Fanatics bought Topps trading card company, right? So Topps was the baseball card. Topps baseball cards, right? But there was also another company that was out there making cards for a long time that was Panini. Okay, but Panini was out of Italy, and Panini's been making, but now right now Panini, like in America, they create, there's other companies like for the sports cards, they have these companies called like Prism, okay, because Prism is huge. Okay, so like Prism and like Select and Optic and National Treasure, I think that all of those companies are under the brand of the Panini label. And so right now, Fanatics has acquired all of the contracts to be able to license all of the NFL, NBA, right? So the Panini is not going to be able to officially license the products, which means you can't put like if it's the Chicago Cubs, you can't put that Chicago Cubs logo on your card unless you've been authorized by the Major League Baseball. It has to be the official authorized card, right? Which Panini had the license for all that stuff, but Fanatics came in and bought all the licenses. That's what they did. And so first they bought the licenses, and then they went and bought Topps. This has already happened. So Fanatics is coming into the card game. The card market is about to explode. It's about to explode in a way that you people are not aware of. It's the same thing as like the gambling, the sports gambling. Remember how a few years ago there was no sports gambling commercials? You never heard anything about sports gambling, right? And then something happened. What they did is they legalized it. And now you hear about it all the time, right? You were very much aware of it. So the same thing is happening within the sports card market, is that You people, you don't see sports card commercials. You're not really aware of it. You don't understand how big it is unless you're actually in the market. But what happens is Fanatics is taken over. This is a thing that's in the works. Like, I'm telling you that this is happening right now, right? Fanatics has come into the market. They've purchased all the licenses for the baseball, football, basketball. They purchased Topps. They already bought Topps trading cards. And so what right now is that they're saying, and it's supposed to happen within the next few days, it's supposed to happen. Everybody's talking about it, is that Fanatics is going to buy Panini. Okay, and when they buy Panini, that means they're going to have the licenses to produce like the Prism cards and the Select cards and the Optic and the National Treasure cards. Like all those companies, those are all the really big ones that are out there. They run the show. They run everything. It's Panini. Panini's the big, like Topps. And if you people want to talk about Topps, you would probably know what Topps is. Topps, okay? But Topps is not the big one. The big one is this Panini company, right? So Panini, though, has been making music cards for a long, long time, too. They make soccer cards. They make music cards. They do all kinds of stuff. Panini's been this big one for a long time, but they're about to be purchased by Fanatics, which means that once Fanatics comes into this game, they're going to change up because Fanatics also created a new card product called Zero Cool. And Zero Cool does all the entertainment cards. All the entertainment cards that are going to be released from Fanatics will be released under the Zero Cool umbrella, the Zero Cool company. So, and once they do Zero Cool, and once they get all the licenses like from the Panini, so they stop doing that, there's just going to be all kinds of weird shit going on. There'll be the Zero Cool. There'll be this Panini's like the smash hits. They'll be able to release that stuff. But it's all going to be under the Fanatics company, and Fanatics is going to be pumping commercials out of this stuff all over the place. This card market's about to explode in a way that, like I said, just like this sports betting, when you people didn't know anything about sports betting, but now you see that it's a big deal and it's going on all over. Okay, I'm telling you, the card market is about to go through the same thing, and all the people that are in the card market, they all know this is going on. And unless you're involved in cards, you probably don't know that this is going on. And it's going to affect the music card industry and all that stuff too, because like I said, Fanatics has already released their Zero Cool product, which is going to release cards under like the movie stars and the singing stars. They're going to do all that stuff. But then they're also, once they acquire Panini, they're also going to have the branding, the licenses for stuff like the smash hits and stuff, right? They're going to have all these companies. There's so much more shit going on out. There's a lot of stuff out there. So this one here, this is zoom in so you can see it better, okay? So now this is a different grading company. That other grading company I showed you was PSA. This one is SGC, okay? So this is SGC. This is a different company, okay? And they call this one the Tux because it's got the black border on the cards. They call it like that. It's known as being the Tux and shit, right? But so this is a company. It's a little. If your card's in this, like this exact card in this slab compared to this exact card in a PSA slab should be more valuable in a PSA slab, except then there's other things that you got to look out for, right? There's other stuff, which I'm going to show you right here in a second. But so this card, that slab right there, that's a standard SGC slab. Like I said, you want that standard, which actually the SGC slab is a little bit bigger than the PSA slab, which I hear people complain about that. But in reality, it's still the standard SGC slab. So that's not going to affect, if your card's in an SGC slab, it's not going to drastically affect the price because of the size of the slab, because they're so close. But this card right here, this specific Michael Jackson card, it's a little bit bigger than a standard baseball card. It's a little bit bigger. And so the SGC though, they'll put this card in a standard slab, okay? But if you put that same exact card, if you see, this is now in a PSA, that's the same card, okay? But now it's in a PSA slab because it's got, see, there's the PSA with the red and white, okay? But so this is in a PSA slab. But so now when I just show it to you like that, if you're not familiar with the market and stuff, you wouldn't be able to identify, and this is what I'm going to show you. Right now I can just look at that and I can tell you that that is a larger slab than what it should be. That slab is larger, which to me decreases the value of the card because I can't display it and I can't store it as I could with all my other cards, because this slab's bigger. It's a bigger slab because that card is actually a little bit bigger, right? And so So that's what I'm gonna show you. So see this one where it fits good. See how it fits where the brand label is right above there, and see how it's tighter, it's closer together, it fits good. That's what you want. So I personally would say that the value of this card is more valuable in an SGC slab than it is in the PSA slab, because the SGC puts this bigger card in a standard slab, which to me increases the value of it because I don't like the larger slab. Okay, and so what you want to do on this slab instantly to identify that it's a larger slab is you see the label at the top. Okay, see the label at the top? See how there's extra plastic on the side of the label, okay? You can see that there's extra plastic, and you can see the gap between the card and the label. There's a big gap there. See, I don't like the appearance of that, which it's okay. It's still okay, it's fine, but it's not as good. I would rather have the card in a standard size. That's why I would if I had this card, which I have one of these cards, I would grade this card in an SGC slab and try and get it in a standard slab. It'd be much better than this this one that's graded in the PSA, but you got the big slab. So what you're looking for is like that extra, see that extra plastic on the side? Okay, then you can see the gap between the two here, which when I go back and show you the original, there it is. When I show you this one, okay, so this is that, see, that's that other PSA slab. So that's the standard one that had the Michael Jackson, that card in it, right? See how the label goes almost all the way to the end of the slab? So right there, that's how you identify, just by looking at it really quick without having to like know. And see, because it could fool you and you think, oh, that's a big slab because look how small the card looks in that slab. You might think that that's a bigger slab, but no, that's the standard slab. The card's just smaller. Okay, but so you can see that the label goes almost to the end. That's how you know it's a standard slab, and that the card is just smaller, right? Where when you look at it in this one, you can see that the label does not go to the end because the slab is bigger, because the card is bigger. It's like I'm saying, this stuff I can just see it because I know what I'm doing. I can look at it and identify it. Where if you were a novice person, you wouldn't know that the size of the cards are different. You wouldn't understand that the size of the slab is different. You wouldn't understand that this stuff is occurring and stuff, right? So that's the kind of little basic things that you got to be aware of, is the size of the slab, the size of the card, you know, which will affect the price of the card in the future and stuff. There's like little things about which companies are the better companies to grade your cards with, and the companies do different things. Like I said, this was the same exact card, the same Michael Jackson's card, but the SGC put it in a regular slab, but the PSA put it in this bigger slab, right? So there's like little things like that you got to deal with and stuff in the card market and stuff, right? But so now I'm going to show you, this is like the big company that I was showing you there, the PSA, right? Okay, so this is here, web results. See, it says PSA population report. Now, the PSA, one of the reasons why they're so big is because they have this feature. And so what they'll do is a lot of people will say, what's the pop count, right? What's the pop count? Pop count means population count. It means how many cards have been graded by the company. Okay, so what's the population count, right? So what you can do is the PSA, they have a website. It's the PSA population report. Okay, so this is what you do when a card, or you can also just search, if you have a card that's in a different slab, you can search the PSA pop count to get an idea of, well, has PSA graded any of these cards? How many of these cards are out there in graded condition? You can see how rare they are, like in the graded condition. You can see how many are available, right? So let me go ahead and show you. I'm going to do a little search there to show you. Okay, so I'm going to click on that PSA population report. Let's let it go over there. Okay. Okay, so then, like I said, it'll take you to this website, and there's a search bar there. So I'm going to search here. I'm going to punch in. Okay, let's punch in the 1985 Panini Smash Hits. Now, I shouldn't have to put Michael Jackson. It'll just go search. It should right there. That with that information, if you need more information, you put more information. But since it's Smash Hits, I know that that's not a sports card. Because sometimes you might, if I just put in 1985 Panini, it might come up with soccer cards. It'll show you all the other stuff. But so, right here, okay, so I put that in and it searched for it. Okay, so right here it says 1985 Panini Smash Hits collection, and when you come over here, it's in the category, it has non-sports cards, okay? So then I know that that's the category I'm looking for, okay? The non-sports cards, that's gonna be the music cards. That means that that's the Michael Jackson one that I'm looking for, right? So I'm gonna click on that, so I wanna see the population report. So I'm gonna click on that, and then so now, like I said, this is in the PSA pop. This is in the PSA pop count. So when I come over here, first of all, what I can show you. Okay, so right here, see it says total right there. So in 1985, Panini Smash Hits cards. Okay, that's the music cards because they've got like Prince and Madonna is in there. These are other people. I'll show you other people that they have available and stuff, right? So in those cards, through the company of PSA, they've only graded a total of 78 of all of the stars. So out of everybody that's out there, all the stars that have cards from that company, there's only been a total of 78 in total graded by PSA, okay? And so then that tells you, it's like, well, most likely, since PSA is going to be the dominant factor, most likely, and in another company like the SGC or whatever, most likely they're not going to have that many either and stuff, right? They're going to have about that same amount. So like I said, there's George Michael. And then see, they have a George Michael in Germany. They have different versions of the cards too. There'll be a George Michael, but then there's one that was printed in Germany, and then so they have like the special like that, right? So then, like I said, you can roll down. Like I said, here comes Prince. And so these are the names and the bands and the people that have cards that have been graded. They've graded at least one. If their name's listed here, that means they've had at least one card graded by PSA. But you see, like there's Madonna. Here's Ozzy Osbourne, Meatloaf, Cyndi Lauper, Annie Lennox, Culture Club, Boy George, Bananarama, David Bowie, The Police, Sting, Billy Idol, Grandmaster Flash, Tracy Ullman. So this is another thing too. Is like, let's say you're a fan, like right there it says Depeche Mode. Let's say you're a fan of Depeche Mode and you're wanting to see what cards are available for Depeche Mode, and you know that there's a set like 1985 Panini Smash Hits, but you don't know if they have a Depeche Mode card. Well, then you can go to the PSA population report and you can search that set of cards and you can see who's has cards graded by them, and you can see, oh, Depeche Mode has a card in there. And like if you're a Depeche Mode fan, and then, like you could do this like if you're a Michael Jackson fan, same thing. You can search just the card companies to find out if they produced a Michael Jackson card, if there was even one available in there, usually like that, right? So there's Depeche Mode, Sade, Van Halen, Phil Collins. See how these are all top-notch bands and stuff, right? ZZ Top. So you can see that 1985 Panini Smash Hits, the cards, they're good cards. If you buy a pack of those cards, you're going to get some good cards. These are all big stars. AC/DC, Bruce Springsteen, U2. So U2, that would be 1985. It's not a rookie U2 card, but that's close to a rookie because U2 came out like in the early 80s and stuff, right? So you're talking about an early U2 card, right? So if you're a U2 fan and you want to get a cool U2 collectible card, the 1985 Panini Smash Hits would be a good one because that's early in their career and stuff, right? So, and see, then they have different variations. Like they have a U2 here that's labeled 121, then this other is labeled is numbered as 122. So there's a couple different U2 cards and stuff. So bottom, there's Michael Jackson. Okay, so Michael Jackson, yeah, that's right. I know he's got a couple different cards in there too. And then they got the Jacksons underneath that too. They'll tell you all this stuff. But so the one, okay, so now let me see here, because there's two different ones there. So by looking at it right there, I would have to look at the back of the card to see the number on the card to see which one of these. Now, because I know what the other one looks like, right? I know what it looks like, but I don't know the number on it. So with me looking at it here, the one that I was looking at there that had the screen, it was a PSA 5. Okay, so now like I'm looking at the top Michael Jackson and it's got two graded and they're both PSA 6s, okay? So I know that one right there is not that other one I showed you. So I come down to the other one there, the number 125. So see the top one, the 124, when I searched over here, see it says 2 right there. That's in the category of the PSA 6. Okay, so I know that was not the one. And then what happens is you go over here, and right there it says 2. That's all of the cards that have been graded. And for that specific card, PSA has graded only 2 of them. That's what they would call a Pop 2. It's a Pop 2, and then if both of the cards are both PSA 6, so the way that you would say that is, this is a Pop 2, none higher. Okay, you'd say it's a PSA 6. It's a Pop 2, none higher. That's how you say it professionally. Technically, it means the card's been graded by PSA, it's been given a 6, it's a pop 2, which means that there's only been 2 of them graded by PSA, and there's none higher. That would mean that the 1 is a 6. That means the 6 is the highest grade out there, which means that card would be the most valuable Michael Jackson card. That specific Michael Jackson card in a PSA slab, a pop 6 would be the most valuable one that you could get. Then what you would do is you would want to look at it. There's 2 of them, the 6s, right? You would want to look at the card for just personal eye appeal, because like I said, the card's the centering. There's different things that can judge the grading of the card. Like a card could be have perfect corners, right? But it could be off-centered. And then because the off-centering, it could bring it down to a 6, right? But the corners are sharp. But you could get another card that's perfectly centered, but the corners are soft. But it's perfectly centered, which usually will give it a better eye appeal. So it's like one of those things, if you had a choice. If you look at it's like not all grades are equal, and not all cards are equal. So just because you got 2 cards that are both graded 6, it doesn't mean it's the same. It's the same card, but they're not of the same quality, technically, because there's different variations of why the card gets graded that way. So what you want to do is look for eye appeal. And one of the main things that causes a card is eye appeal is centering. The card needs to be centered properly, left to right, and top to bottom. It needs to be perfectly centered on the card. That gives it good eye appeal. So generally a card that has good centering is going to create a better eye appeal, which is going to create more of a value for that card. So if you had a choice to choose from the 2 PSA 6s, you would want the one that has better centering. Then that's usually going to create a better eye appeal, and eye appeal generates value for a card. Okay, this is how you judge the value. This is how you would know which card is actually more valuable and stuff. But the value would be relatively close because they're both PSA 6s. But it'd be a difference between, like, maybe you paid $500 for the one and maybe you paid $700 for the other one. There could be a difference of price, maybe even up to $1,000 if the eye appeal was just so much better and somebody really wants that card. They'll pay up for that eye appeal. And it could be like worth twice the value. You could have 2 PSA 6s, but the one card could be worth twice the value of the other one because the eye appeal is so much better on it, right? These are the technical little things that you've got to learn when you want to understand this market and understand what's actually going on, because there's actually big variations between what's going on. Just because both the cards are labeled as a 6, that doesn't mean that they're the same. Now, I thought that was the one Michael right there, the 1. It must be this 2. Let me go see. Okay, so it's Michael, and then this Michael. So this Michael, that's the one card I was showing you. The one card I showed you in a PSA slab, the Panini Smash Hits, that was in the bigger PSA slab, which I didn't like. I liked it better in the SGC, right? But so this is the one when I want to search it up to find out more information. So so there's Michael Jackson. I'll go over here. So it says 00, see no grades. And then it has okay, so it's got 2 cards graded. So the one over here on the right, let me go all the way up to show you because I believe that's the 5. Oh, it's a 7. Okay, so they've got a 5 and a 7. Okay, so when I go back down to the Michael Jackson, I think that was it there. There, Michael Jackson. And you can see there's a card there. So the one there is a 5. So it's got one is a PSA 5. That's the one I showed you. Okay, so like that, I said, that card that I showed you that's for sale, here it is listed in the PSA population report. That's it right there. And then there is a 7 also. This other one over here is a 7. Okay, so there's a 5 and a 7, and then you go over here and you see it says 2, so that's all that would be available of those cards would be the 5 and the 7. Okay, so that's what I'm showing you about. So that's this card, actually, this one right here. Okay, so that card I was showing you, when I was showing you there in the PSA pop report, the PSA 5, and then see how it says excellent 5. Okay, that's it. That's the card. Okay, so you can verify it's all documented, that it's been graded, it's all authenticated, you know it's real, you know that that's the one that's listed in the pop report, that's the one. Okay, so in this card in a PSA slab, there's a 5 and a 7. Okay, so then the 5 will sell for what it sells for, then the 7 would sell for, you know, multiples of that. It's to be much more valuable because it's going to be a better quality card. It's going to have better eye appeal. It's a better card, which is going to generate more value for that card, right? But then that's all that there is out there. So if you wanted to say this one, you would say this is a PSA 5, it's a pop 2, only 1 higher. That's the way you would say that. And you would be saying, that's why you'd say this is the 5, you would say only 1 higher. So then you're saying there is one other card out there that's been graded by PSA and it's been graded higher. You don't have to designate the grade on that one. But that's the way you would say it, like if you were listing it on eBay. You say PSA 5, it's a pop 2, only 1 higher. That's the way you would write that and stuff. That's the technical, classification for how that's distinct is just the distinction that you would place on that and stuff, right? So that's just trying to give you a quick idea about like the Michael Jackson cards in the beginning with the 1969 Victoria. That would be his rookie card and stuff. And it's like, these are the Michael Jackson too, because there's other Jackson's cards. Now, I personally would not want to collect the Jackson's cards. There's a big difference. Just because it's Michael Jackson, like, because me with my story and stuff, right? Michael not being a family member of the Jacksons, so I don't want to collect the Jacksons cards, right? I want to collect the Michael Jackson cards because, like, also what I'm collecting is like the Diana Ross and the Smokey Robinson, stuff like that. I'm collecting those cards because I think the value of those, like the value of Diana Ross, because they're big stars, right? So I think when people like that are Diana Ross fans, when they find out that her child is Michael Jackson, I think that they're gonna adore her even more when they find out, like, the people, because there's people like she's big in the gay community, right? They love Diana Ross, right? When those people find out that Diana Ross is actually Michael Jackson's mom and that she was pregnant at 14 years old and she had to abandon her child to help the development of Motown and help Berry Gordy and Smokey Robinson, when they find out this whole story of what happened, oh my God, like, Diana Ross is gonna go like, oh my God, she is gonna be so admired and stuff, right? And so she becomes so big and stuff that her cards are gonna become much more valuable too. You'll see that there'll be all kinds of people that you wouldn't have thought. Next thing you know, they're gonna start, once the cards become more valuable, they become more desirable. The more valuable they get, the more desirable they get. And then the more scarce they are, the more desired they get, which means they're more valuable. This is like how that whole card industry and market works and stuff, right? So this is one of the things I've been doing lately is I've been buying these Michael Jackson cards because I know that this market is drastically undervalued right now compared to what the value of these cards are right now, compared to what the value is going to be when the people find out the truth about my story, when my story gets exposed. Like, when people actually find out that Diana Ross is Billie Jean, like, when they find out that shit, I'm telling you, the Diana Ross shit is going to go to the moon too, because you're going to get like all kinds of people that you would have not have thought who would be respecting those cards. They're going to be respecting those cards because they're going to have a great deal of value to them. So that's instantly what's going to happen is that the collectors are not going to have known that these cards were out there because they're not like card collectors, right? So the first people that are going to have access to these cards are going to be the sports card collectors who know they know the card market, and they're going to understand the value. When they find out, when my story breaks and the people understand the value that, the Diana Ross, when they find out that, Michael Jackson was actually her son, then they're instantly going to know that the Diana Ross card market is undervalued. So instantly what you're going to have is the first group of people that's going to come into that are the people who know what they're doing, the card collectors. They're going to know instantly that those Diana Ross cards are undervalued, and they're going to scoop them all up, right? Instantly going to scoop them all up, and they're instantly going to jack the price up, right? And now then what's going to happen is you're going to have collectors, actual Diana Ross collectors, people that collect Diana Ross stuff. They're going to start coming into this market, and they're going to see, now if you want a Diana Ross card, you can't get a Diana Ross card for $50. The first thing you're going to it's going to be $500. It's going to be $1,000 for you even to touch one of those cards. And then once you buy that card for $500, now you're like saying, look at this card, not only is it a Diana Ross card, it's worth $500. It has it's become an actual asset class, and it's got a value that millions of people recognize and will honor the value of what that card is and stuff, right? And once the people start buying it at that value, then the values just go up and up and up. They just keep raising it and raising it. They'll keep raising it until the people stop paying it. That's how it works, right? That's how that market works. And then that's what you get. They call like the bubble. All of a sudden it starts going crazy. The whole market just goes crazy because you have a huge amount of collectors coming in, and they're trying to grab this stuff because they know it's very limited and it's very rare. And so you've got all these people trying to get their hands on it because they know if you don't get your hands on it now, you're never going to get your hands on it again because the price of these things are going to go to the moon. They're going to skyrocket and shit, right? So that's like how this whole industry works and stuff, right? So this is the thing. I've been picking up these cards. This is the thing I've been doing recently and stuff, and but I want to also expose it to the people to let you know it's like, dude, if you're in the Michael Jackson fandom and shit, right, and if you want to make a serious investment into Michael Jackson collectibles, you listen to what I'm talking about. It's these cards. These cards are going to be the thing that skyrocket. These cards are the real deal, these graded cards, but you need to understand the whole market. It's the bigger picture. You better understand what you're doing before you jump into this market, or you will lose your ass, because this market is tricky, and you better know what you're doing before you step into this market, all right? So I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day.